Friends, please welcome Mr. Mangesh Kinare. Mr. Mangesh has been yet another industry veteran with over 21 years of experience in matters pertaining to service tax, audit and consultancy. Neil just made a passing remark or comment about corporate social responsibility, but Mangesh rightly says that social responsibility is not just for corporates, but for each one of us. Mangesh is often seen sharing his knowledge and experience at almost all platforms. He's been a professor of accountancy in various leading commerce colleges in Bombay and also a visiting faculty for MBA, MMS and BMS courses for taxation. He regularly shares his opinions by penning articles in newspapers on service tax and has often been invited on television channels as well as an expert on taxation. Mangesh has delivered lectures at seminars organized by various branches and study circles of WIRC on service tax, accounting standards and much more. He has held various respective positions at the Western India Regional Council of the ICAI. For example, he's been the chairman for 2013-14. He was his secretary for 2010 and 11 and has been elected as a member since 2007 onwards till 2016. He is presently the chairman of Corporate Law Committee 2014-15 for the Western India Regional Council of CA Institute. Gentlemen, we have Mr. Mangesh Kinare for you.
First, thank Yes Bank and BMPA for giving this opportunity. My job is very difficult to start with because I've been asked to speak on indirect tax provisions. I'm sandwiched between direct tax, that is income tax, which is very close to heart of everybody, and company law, provisions regarding company law, because there are so many changes which are there and everyone is eager about it. And to couple it, it is said that indirect taxes. Now, indirect taxes will cover a whole lot of taxes. And if you would have seen my profile, I'm practicing in service tax mainly. And that is why I'll just touch upon aspects. Originally, I was given the subject of budget changes in the indirect taxes. I'll try and curtail a little bit in the sense that which is relevant for all of us here in the indirect taxes, and that too mainly in service tax because it's my subject. Now, in indirect taxes, that's why I've started with a different slide altogether than what I had planned earlier. Being a service tax, being my core competency, I'll start with the service tax implication on printing industry. Not connected with budget or anything. I'll touch upon some budget provisions which are per se relevant, I can say, not directly but indirectly at least, to the printing industry. As far as service tax is concerned, hardly one provision of excise is concerned. Now, I also have some of the clients in printing industry, and there is a lot of confusion as regards whether service tax is applicable or not. I suppose core printing industry consists of two aspects. One is, taking the entire job, that is designing, printing and everything. And second is, of course, taking a job work of merely printing, carrying out that process of printing. Whether the service tax applicability, whether service tax is applicable to both these activities. Firstly, there are two things which have come up. The service tax legislation has undergone a change in 2012, if you might be knowing. Whatever was earlier inclusive, this thing that certain services were defined, and if you are fitting in those services, then only the tax was leviable. From 2012, 1st July, the negative list regime has come. It has defined certain services which are not at all regarded as services, certain activities which are not regarded as services. It has defined certain exemptions for the certain services. And that is why from the printing printing industry perspective, I would draw your attention to one clause, clause F of section 66D, that is a negative list, which says that any process amounting to manufacture or production of goods, it is included in the negative list, means it is not subject to, it is not regarded as service at all. So any process amounting to manufacture or production of goods. I am not going in the legal intricacies and then each and every subject, जिसको बहुत डिटेल में जाना बोलते हैं, प्रोसेस क्या होती है, मैन्युफैक्चर एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स, आई विल नॉट गो इन डिटेल. So in short, the expression has been defined. This entire expression has been defined in section also, which clearly says that the process on which the excise duty is leviable under section 3 of the Central Excise Act is any process which is falling under this definition. And now most of you might be knowing that excise duty is leviable on excisable goods. And what are excisable goods? Excisable goods are the goods on which it is included in the first and second schedule of the Central Excise Tariff. Most of the printing or printing related works or the activities are included in Schedule 48 and 49 of Central Excise Tariff, first schedule of Central Excise Tariff, Chapter 48 and 49, sorry. And naturally, therefore, most of these activities of printing, which is undertaken as a job, as a printing job entirely, is covered under this expression, any process amounting to manufacture or production of goods. And that is why when this consolidated printing job is undertaken, right, the tax, it will not attract to service tax as it is already attracted to the excise duty. Coming to the mere job work of printing, that is specified here, printing job work. The attention is drawn to the clause 30 of a mega exemption notification of 2012, 25 of 2012. The clause 30 says that, and what is exempt, it is mentioned there, carrying out an intermediate production process as job work in relation to, there are three things, there are three limbs, I have just mentioned the relevant limb: agriculture, printing, or textile processing. So carrying out the intermediate production process as job work. So basically printing is a production process. It is carried out as a job work and it is an intermediate process. Somebody is giving you paper and you are printing and then again returning back the finished product. So it's an intermediate process carried out as a job work relating to the printing industry, and that is why that type of work is also exempted under clause 30 of notification 25. So per se, pure printing activity is not subject to service tax, it is subject to excise duty. I mean, most of you might be knowing. But there are certain issues in this. And I'll deal with these couple of issues, and because some questions may be there later on also. There are certain printing activities which are per se have not been, I mean, one cannot correlate it exactly in the Central Excise Tariff. For example, flex printing, it is not advertisement. Advertisement material, it is being specified there in chapter 49, I think. But flex printing, see, this is not advertisement. This is just a seminar or conference. The flex is being printed. Now, whether it will fall under a service which is rendered to an event organizer or it's a printing activity per se. I mean, again, these issues are slightly delicate issues, but I'll be giving my opinion, right? Persons might be having some other reasoning. I feel that still in such conferences and all, the printing activity has an advertising, what you can say, value to it. And therefore, this type of printing also will be covered in this excisable goods and service tax will not be levied on that. The second is designing and printing. There are, I mean, of course, there are so many activities relating to the printing industry which are carried in a composite manner. It will be designing and printing or printing and advertisement and so on and so forth. There will be a lot of combination of activities some of you might be carrying out also. Now, how the applicability of service tax or excise is there on that? Now, mind you, here at least one has to take utmost care, and the predominancy test, I think, is an important test, right? Designing and printing activity. If designing is a process before printing and it is taken for the purpose of printing, definitely it will fall, right, under the printing activity in all. But if designing activity is undertaken separately for some other printer, right? You are also carrying out a printing activity. You are also have a designing division. Designing for your own printing is definitely will be included in that printing cost. But if designing is done separately for some others, right, it will amount to a service and it will be taxable. Now here, many times people try and combine this unnaturally. That is, there is a section which has been introduced regarding bundling of services or bundling of activities, one can say, section 66F. If you try and bundle an activity saying that चलो ठीक है इसमें अगर हम डाल देंगे तो इसका सर्विस टैक्स बच जाएगा and एक्साइज पूरे ऊपर भर देंगे. Mind you, indirect taxes are such that when it hurts you, it hurts a lot. Because ultimately you have to pay from the pocket, which you would have collected already from your ultimate customers. And that is why total conservatism is necessary as far as planning and indirect taxation is concerned, according to me. And here, that's why I said the predominancy test is very important when you are carrying out a bundled activities or combined activities. Just by saying that I am carrying out a printing, right? And if you are doing only one small part of printing and designing is a very predominant activity, perhaps the authorities, even though you have paid an excise duty on it, because there might be some other advantages attached to it, authorities might take another view also. So you have to take a view in a transaction to transaction basis. Take another example, if you are doing an event, right? And if you say that I am preparing a separate bill for excise duty and event service tax, I'll put separately. Yes, if it's your normal practice, then it's a normal, one can say, division of activities. Otherwise, department can say that I'll bundle these activities and I'll tax with the entire rate. That is why care has to be taken. And we are not here to discuss the nitty-gritties of each and everything, but care has to be taken when these combined or bundled activities are carried out. So per se printing there is not, service tax is not applicable, it is attracted to the excise. But the combination of activities, when it is carried out and when services become a predominant part of that activities, perhaps the position may change. I'll just draw your attention to one more fact. In fact, indirect taxes, you can, if you think about it in advance before planning the transaction, there can be a good amount of planning which can take it. Just one example which just came out to my mind while I was just sitting here. Take an example that if you are printing, for some, take event managers or carrying out an activity of a convention service. Now in service tax, there is something what is called as abatement. That is, if your service is 100, say 60% abatement is given, then tax has to be paid on 40% abatement. Certain services, the abatement has been specified. And wherever the abatement is specified, right, the, the Senvat credit on such abatements are not allowed as far as input of goods are concerned. So if you are providing a service and printing both, that is designing and printing both, to any event organizer or to a convention service, perhaps they might insist कि आप इसका अलग-अलग bill दे दो, because on designing service they will get a Senvat credit. On your material cost, that is a production process, they will not get a Senvat credit. Now you have to again look into here in a case-to-case basis, right? Where bundling you are doing or rebundling or what you can say is a demerger you are doing of these activities. Otherwise, authorities will bundle it and you will be able to pay double taxation. Now this is what I thought that primarily applicable to the printing industry as far as service tax is concerned. There are other general provisions which are applicable to service tax. I think the next slide we can go. Applicable in service tax to the printing industry. I'll take this and then I'll rush upon the